Venezuelans voting for this assembly, saying it's actually less than 3.
It is, and people are going to start rioting in the streets.
Was reported to have asked Putin for military support that would help him stay in power.
We will make America safe again, and yes, together we will make America great again.
And they ignore him, and 8 more years goes by till Bernie himself finally admits to his sons, hey, I've been running a Ponzi scheme.
Does its dominance mean it can use the alliance for its own ends?
Since 1981, bond yields, also known as coupon rates, have just gone down and down and down.
Federal Reserve note will be your biggest financial liability. RTD Live Talk. It's Wednesday night, 9:35 p.m., the 24th day of the month of October. We're live. And as you can tell from today's title, what's on your mind? Trying to find out what's happening in your world or your economy, your personal economy, or your local neighborhood. Anyway, so I got a lot of things to talk about tonight and want to start off basically by welcoming everybody that's new to the channel. Welcome. My name is Mike, the host of RTD Live Talk, Detroit's #1 late night YouTube talk show. And so as always, any new viewers, feel free to check in on the chat. Let me know where you're watching us from. Welcome to the community, as well as the number above my head, 1-833-LIVE-RTD. It's a number for you to call in and to let your voice be heard over the microphones. So with that being the case, we got Spirit. How you doing? Spirit is always first. We got Scott. How you doing, buddy? Lennox Patrick says, how to buy Litecoin. How to buy Litecoin? Is that the question? Interesting. So if that's the question on how to buy Litecoin, one of the recommendations, Coinbase, of course, is the ideal way. It's the easiest and most convenient way as of now. And so if you're interested in, actually finding out how to do that, I actually have a affiliate link down below this video here. We click on that, and you can basically set up an account. And and for doing so, by me recommending you, it'll give me like a little $5, $10 credit or something like that. So if that's of interest to you, feel free to hit that Coinbase link at the bottom. Student of Life, what's up, buddy? How you doing, Spirit? James, haha. So what is going on out here? So a couple things on my mind. We have, so I basically, what I'm going to do, I'm going to actually, because I haven't done it in a while, and it's a matter of actually thumbing through some of the comments from the last couple of days, and actually either answering directly or just commenting on some of the things, because today's video, a lot of people left comments, and of course just couldn't get to them all. So what I'm going to do now is basically share my screen, and while we give people time to join us, we can just scroll through a couple comments here. It says, no one says, hi Mike, do you foresee a market crash in December when the Federal Reserve raises rates, although housing market is not doing well? Good question there. I'm going to go back to a prior statement I made a couple weeks ago on the RT Live Talk, where I mentioned that in my gut, for some reason, which is, a little bit more intensified this year than prior years, because I've been, doing this now, 4 years, whatever, give or take. So usually around this time frame, I anticipate some type of shock or some type of major news. But for whatever this year, like I mentioned, I think it was at the beginning of October or end of September, that for the next 60 days, which includes October and November, I was anticipating some type of event, some type of major news that you can't deny type of event. So not sure what that might be. It could be something related to the economy. It could be something on the political side of things with this midterm election coming up. There could be some things happening over in, with the Saudi Arabia situation. We got the Italy, going through the roof. We got in the UK, there's a housing crisis. And in Canada, there's a housing crisis. In Australia, there's a housing crisis. So because of the current environment we're in now, I anticipate experiencing some type of shock in the next 30 days, which puts us in that 60-day window. So not sure what it could be, man, but it just seems like everything is lining up to be something unforgettable, unbelievable, catastrophic, you name it. I'm not sure how to even label it. But I think, we're ripe for something that will be definitely an eye-opener for all those that, have not been too in tune with events happening around them, as well as the decisions being made on their behalf. So I'm going to leave it at that. But let me share my screen with you guys. And actually, we can touch on a couple comments. And so I'm not sure if you guys can see it. But what I'll do is basically scroll through and just show you guys some love, whatever, for those that were willing to leave a comment. And go from there. It says, woohoo, that wave is totally turbulent, dude. Yes, boomers are forced to cash out their IRAs. Thanks, IRS. And they most likely won't reinvest. They won't reinvest. Why would they? Just wait until large cap corporates have earnings issues. The buybacks will result in sellbacks, and the market won't like it. CFOs will have liquidity issues when the high income incomes and inflationary costs form income statements to look well. So basically, once the stock market reaches its true value, it's going to be hella problems for everybody. We got Jeff leaving a couple of great articles out here. We got as a response to my video earlier about the SEC commissioner mentioning that there's a tsunami retirement crisis coming. A lot of people responding, and to my question that I posed at the very end of that is, how are you preparing for? What have you prepared for? And I referred to a three-legged stool, which according to her has been the conventional way of investing, where it's pension, Social Security, and your own personal savings accounts have been the three stools that's propped up everybody in expectation of retirement. And so someone responded here, Christopher Paul said his three legs are gold, guns, and a getaway plan. And what else we got here? It says, someone says, my brother worked for the U.S. Post Office and retired there, but continues to work in another job. He is currently receiving a pension and thinks it is not connected to the stock market and that the amount he receives monthly is guaranteed for life. Can someone tell me, is his pension at risk if the stock market implodes? Without even knowing the details of what his pension is related to, but his pension is from the government, so it's good to say that the government will make sure that he receives some type of payout. Now, what that payout actually purchases down the line, if we reach some type of inflationary environment, I don't think it's going to be much. So he probably will get his pay. He probably will get a payout for the rest of his life, give or take what it can purchase. So it's a government subsidy right there. So he's probably as good as gold, but it ain't gonna purchase much down the line, I would imagine. And so it said, no crisis, relax, reset, backed by gold. We got textbooks equals trucking, gas, paper. So I'm curious, Mike, what do you do for your planning for retirement? You're a young man, and I'd like to know how you're planning for your golden years. Very good question. And so I've talked about this in prior years about my primary approach towards the concept of retirement. Still relatively young, but I never truly bought into the, work hard now, save, and then enjoy the latter part of my life. And so my motto, my philosophy is basically to try to get the most I can out of my remaining days here. And I'm not guaranteed to be here next year, 2 years, 10 years from now. So I'm trying to live my best life now. So what that means for me is basically just finding ways to deliver massive amounts of value any way I can. So I have a different things I'm involved in that, brings value to the marketplace, which allows me to be able to enjoy my time here without actually planning for some type of payout 20, 30, 40 years from now. And so basically my approach is prepare as much as I can now, based upon the fact that I believe that down the line, our national currency will not be what it is currently. And so having made those preparations, I believe could probably, leave me better off down the line, because I'll be holding what I like to think is tangible assets that will appreciate in nominal value in anticipation of some new currency that at that point, it'll be easier to get into, to acquire assets that produce cash flow. So that's my approach, and that's my thought process. So I'm more of the entrepreneurial mind that I'm going to work until I leave this planet. So it's just a matter of trying to find the work that I'm most suited for, and this, according to my gifting. So that's my personal plan there. But ideally, as time goes on, just follow the trends. Follow the trends will keep me one step ahead of the trends to always be involved in something and being able to add value. So, but that's just me. It says low blood pressure, in reference to the comment, says savings gone with inflation, plus Social Security stolen by government, plus pensions misinvested in stocks equals work till you die slave. Sorry, Medicare is underfunded, die now. So yeah, so here's a lot more comments, but yeah, I appreciate you guys, leaving a comment or whatnot. I'll try to make a note to do this more often to give you guys a chance to, let your voice be heard in that regard there. So as always, we got people in the chat. What's happening here? It says, can one truly have confidence and trust in gold, silver as safe, considering the largest holdings and already existing manipulation. Considering the large holdings and already existing manipulation. Are you familiar with the London Fix? Kelvin, I am slightly familiar with London Fix, but yeah, here's my thought process. I don't believe there's no such thing as security or any guarantees in anything. Because right now I believe that we're currently living in a time that has never existed the way that it currently is now, where we're living in a digital age, submerged in debt, and just bombarded with corruption in every single industry around us. And so apart from the idea of being able to extract some energy and put it into something that's tangible and physical, that has the potential and the historical has a long track record, put it like that, of retaining its value for the long run, would leaves me more confident in having something from the earth that's a natural resource, ideally gold, silver, any type of metal, real estate, anything that's natural and already fabricated and in use will be of value to someone on the other end if they need something such as a house, some type of car or whatever. Those type of items will have some value. Now, what type of value, what can you get for it? Who knows? But I'm a strong component of the fact that down the line, precious metals has always held their value in relation to the fact that it's globally recognized as money. It's just in this modern era now, most people don't think of it as money because it's more so labeled as a commodity. But, you know, as far as paper is concerned and digits, I am more confident that the digits and the paper have a much better chance of returning to its intrinsic value of zero before the metals will. Someone on the other side of this planet will recognize gold and silver regardless of what we do in this country here. It's just a matter of being able to extract value and interchange and do things of that nature. So just my thought process there. But feel free to elaborate on that and share your thoughts on that. It says gold and silver forever. It says, Mike, what do you... But another thing is, and I remember watching Mike Maloney from goldandsilver.com, one of his videos. And, gold and silver, it's a great hedge and a insurance policy against your national currency because it's a guarantee. It's a mathematical certainty. The only thing governments can do is borrow, and the only thing that central banks can do is to monetize, i.e. print. And in the commercial banks, fractional reserve lending will expand the money base drastically at the expense of everybody. So it's one thing that can't be manipulated, but yet it also has a lifespan for it, as far as it being undervalued right now, extremely undervalued, but there will come a time down the line where it will be extremely overvalued. And so understanding and recognizing the times and the seasons will allow you to be able to acquire when it's undervalued and then exchange or lease it out when it's overvalued, to be able to transfer your energy and economic talent, skill, and everything else that's stored up in that into something else that ideally would produce some type of flow of income or cash or whatever down the line is the ideal situation, I believe. And so it will come a day where gold and silver will not be wanted because, we might be in more stable times down the line, whatever that might look like. But there will come a time where, gold and silver will be too overpriced and in a bubble, and it'll be worth your while to get rid of it or to find something to do with it at that point. It says, Mike, what do you think about the gentleman that was talking about putting cryptocurrency in trust? Linux, good point. I was introduced to something different. I never really considered or thought about the whole idea of cryptocurrencies in a trust, just because I haven't actually looked into that for myself. Because as of now, because cryptocurrencies are in the early phases of being looked at as an alternative to fiat currencies, along with the likes of precious metals and other assets or whatever of that nature. And so it's still in the early phase. So I'm not too well versed on how to park it in here for tax purposes and yada, yada, yada. My biggest thing is just, taking a little bit of crumbs as far as the fiat currencies and exchanging it or redeeming those currencies for something that I believe will have value down the line, and then retaining your private keys so that you can, always have access and possession of what you say is yours. And so putting it in different types of vehicles or whatnot, I'm not familiar with it, but I believe, there's always going to be a product formed to A, generate revenue for somebody, and then B, to supposedly protect on the other end. And so I'm not familiar with it to really speak on like that. But me personally, I'm not really, I'm not trading or anything like that. I'm more so holding and speculating in the future. So I'm not really concerned about any of the other things that some people might be concerned with. It says silver is an insurance as of right now. We don't know what will happen, but learning from history, it will be an asset and it will hold value. Yeah, and here's the biggest thing. When we talk about metals, we're basically we're viewing them from the standpoint that they're currently, at this current moment in time, they're priced in dollars. Everything around the world is priced in dollars because the Federal Reserve note is the world reserve currency. But if you're a follower of this show, you know that there's a lifespan to the Federal Reserve note, i.e. this piece of paper here. It has a lifespan on it. And so I actually, one thing that really, people, if people really paid, paid more attention to it, then you would understand that it has already caused you more harm than good, because it has been devalued so heavily that most people don't even recognize the theft that's taking place already. And hence the idea that I was actually thinking about how to position this to you guys, and I actually caught a snippet or a little bit of Lynette Zhang's live stream today, and I didn't, but the title had something about risk in it. And just this morning or last couple of days, I've been thinking about really diving more into and helping people understand the risk to reward aspect of everything they do with their lives. And so everything we're engaged in, where we exert energy, can be measured as far as the risk and the reward of that long-term output of that energy. So basically, you can put your energy to some things that will not have a beneficial payout, which is basically just robbing you of your current energy levels or whatever it might be. And so the same thing with investing. And so I was actually doing some Google research, and the risk and reward aspect is more so involved in investing when it comes to day traders or whatnot. But I'm thinking, like, when you consider the risk and the reward, like right now, the risk and the reward for this instrument here is going to be very life altering, because I'm going to show you something that I posted today. I'm going to show you this here. And so here we have a way of assessing the risk and the reward for what we call our national currency. And so right now we have the big push, it looks like, to have stable coins, where we have every bank, it looks like a bank, Goldman Sachs and everybody else, I mentioned that last night, everyone's coming out with a stable coin. And it was brought to my attention, even more so, I was watching Reggie Middleton. So if you guys, Reggie Middleton's the creator of Veritasium, and he's a former guest on Rethinking the Dollar. So I was watching one of his presentations last night, and I actually, on my Twitter, if you guys have Twitter, I actually extracted a 2-minute segment from an hour presentation he gave in regards to stable coins, and he made a great point there that it just didn't click in my mind until he made that statement. But it was in reference to one of his employees who's located in the African office that they have for Veritasium. He said that somebody made a comment saying that what a benefit it would be to have a stable coin, and then the gentleman said stable. He was like, but it's backed by the dollar. And this is a gentleman who lives in Africa, so basically an African who has his own currency issues in his country. And his comment was, but it's backed by a dollar. He's like, but a dollar's not stable. And I'm like, that's I never looked at it like that. I'm like, so people are, they're positioning these stable coins, they're labeling stable. That's only in reference to the fluctuating and manipulation of the cryptocurrency pricing. So Bitcoin's 20,000, 6,000, 5,000, whatever it is. So they're giving a label to a coin that's pegged to the dollar 1-to-1. But then here's a picture here of what that dollar looks like in reference to what it can purchase based upon history. And so as of today, it has not been stable. And, let me know if I'm wrong, but perhaps, right here over my ear, it says 2018. At the current rate we're at now, given all the stuff that's starting to occur right now, as I always say, this next injection of liquidity after the markets correct, there's going to be some need for the government to interject into the markets by debt and the central bank's going to monetize. So it's going to be trillions upon trillions injected into the markets to try to stabilize things. It's to try to stabilize the markets. And all those coins, those stable coins, will then it'll be a rush of trillions of dollars into the stable coin industry, which will mean that those coins won't be as stable because the monetary base supply has increased, which means that the stable coins, amount of stable coins to kind of stabilize all that injection has to go up. So they're going to have to inflate the stable coin count total, while the purchasing power for this piece of paper here will drop well below my shoulder into the ground. Hence what's happening in environments where inflation picks up. And so there's nothing stable, basically, about these stable coins, because there's nothing stable about this instrument right here. And so just if you look at the chart and you see what you have lost, what your parents have lost, what your grandparents have lost, there's no recouping that. And so I am extremely confident that this instrument in the next 2 years, put it out there, quote me on that, in the next 2 years, it will be tested internationally like it is now, called de-dollarization. And then there's going to be more stable coins, national coins coming out because of this instrument right here. So we'll see, but I'm more than confident based upon this graph. This graph here is history. I'm over on the wrong shoulder. This graph here is a historical fact of what has happened in relevance to purchasing power, because as this been dropping down, the monetary base looks like that, but inverted. So imagine 2018 back in 1913, where there was X amount of Federal Reserve notes in existence, whereas in today there's trillions upon trillions, and everyone wants to mention the fact there's 21 trillion that's missing. So we don't really know how many trillions of these things are out there. And so hence the idea, this is another thing that really bothers me, people saying, you need to save for retirement. How do you know how much to save when you got a monetary base that's about to be doubled or tripled in the next couple of years? It's going to make whatever you put aside irrelevant, because you're going to have all that freshly, newly minted paper and digits against your $100, $600 million stockpile. There's no comparison there. But I'm sorry, I'm ranting. I get caught up in the subject and I keep going. So forgive me. All right, let me see what's happening in the chat. The phone lines haven't rung yet, so I'm not doing too bad. Okay, what we got here? I missed some questions. Any questions here? It says, hi, Mike. Hey, Andrew. How you doing, buddy? Tony, what's up, my friend? And so, yeah, Tony, the question was, I was talking about the video from earlier, and then I got off into something else, so forgive me for rambling, but crypto is priced in dollars as well. Tony, very good point. And so hinting at the idea of everything being priced in dollars. And this is something that I learned several years ago, which made it easier for me to renew my mind in reference to how I measure and gauge current economic value. I try not to price things in dollar terms. And so I believe it's in Mike Maloney's book, The Gold and Silver, whatever. I read it somewhere. But it was a key statement he made in there a while back that I read it. And it's like the best way to stay in track with trends and to be able to use prior performance to kind of predict future performance was to measure in weight. And so everyone knows here the motto that we use here in the RTD community. It's a matter of getting your weight up. And so what he did in the portion of the book was he basically measured how many ounces of whatever metal you prefer, whatever you have more of. So if you're a gold bug, you got a lot of gold, you'll have more purchasing power. If you're a silver person, you whatever. And so whatever you're looking to acquire, price it 10, 15 years ago on the average of whatever it was at that time. Then price it now, and then do some studying in between to see how it's fluctuated. And it give you a good indication of what it might possibly be priced at in terms of ounces in the future. And so a good way of trying to figure out how much you should or you might want to accumulate is to pick an item of value to you now that you probably can't afford. Figure out what that same whatever it was, average 10, 15, 20 years ago was priced at. Look at the price now, and imagine when we hit some type of hyperinflationary environment, in hyperinflation environment, metals always 20, 30, 50, 100-fold in that currency price. And so that'll help you understand how many ounces you might need, possibly. This is all my opinion, of course, to then get out of those metals and acquire that good or service that you can't afford now. So that's just a different way of looking at it. But, you know, everything is priced in dollars now, but it'd be worth your while to not price everything in dollars moving forward, because there will come a day where you won't be pricing anything in a dollar, because we're going to have a domestic currency in this next economic world order that's being set up right now, because that's just a typical cycle for a empire that ends and the reserve currency that goes along with that. And so we're going to have a domestic currency that will be priced in something else that comes from outside this country. And then we're going to find out the true value of what this country means to the world when it comes to pricing that, exchanging that, our domestic currency, whatever it might be, for that international currency or group of currencies that we will be pricing it against. And believe me, people, because we've been robbing the world for 100 years, it won't be favorable. Mark my words. Yeah. So anyway, okay, I got rambling again. I'm sorry. Says, what about purchasing land? I have never known a situation in which land has lost value. Maybe I just don't know. Land is, so in my opinion, anything that's from the earth, including the earth itself, will always have value, because people will need somewhere to park their family, their house, their car, whatever. And you can always charge for people parking in that location. And of course, it's just a matter of now, do we actually own the land? Because a lot of people who dive deep into the dark side of things say that, all land is owned by a single entity and we're just leasing it because the deeds really aren't in our name. And you got people who can go way off the charts with it. I don't know. I don't really concern myself with it. Everything to me belongs to the Lord, and He blessed me to be able to use it in the meantime. So, I have my thoughts on all that, so I'll leave that alone. But anything on and under, it's not going nowhere, and it is needed for life above ground. So I don't believe it's going to go down in value. Now, it might drop in price, but it won't go to zero. Like, you won't be able to get a vacant lot for $1, I don't think, because just supply and demand. There's going to always be a demand for land, and the supply will never be extremely plentiful, in my opinion. It says, what we got here? It says, Mike, are guaranteed silver service job pensions at risk to be cut because of the market crash? Well, I don't think they will be. Let me read that question again. It says, Mike, are guaranteed silver service job pensions at risk to be cut because a market collapse? I know this already, but need additional info to convince a relative. So here's the thing. In the private sector, in the private sector. Watch, I'm struggling to say this. Everybody will take a haircut. In the private sector, everybody will take a haircut, just because it's already happening now. I did a video. I can't think of the name of. I did a video earlier this year. It actually 40,000 views in relation to the thousands of letters. I mean, thousands. It'll take me much time to pull up, but just, yeah, it's like something about the pension crisis. I talked about pension crisis for several years now. There's been thousands of letters going out from union jobs to some private sector jobs where, they're being asked to take a haircut. It's either they say, hey, either you be willing to take 10-15% less, or we run the risk of you not getting nothing. Take your pick. And people do it. They take the cut out of just the fact that, hey, I'd rather get something than nothing. But that was never part of the plan at any point. Never once. And this is hints on my thought earlier about, giving your best years now in the expectation of somebody giving you something in the future. Because you think about the baby boomers. I mention this all the time. The baby boomers are going to be the first line of assault, financial assault, because they're the ones that will be the primary recipients of this biggest Ponzi scheme ever invented, in the idea that you can put in something now, turn it over to an entity that's not operating in your best interest and expect them to grow it for you and then give it to you for the rest of your life. So if you look at the whole retirement scheme in general, it never is. If you looking back now, it never really seemed to fit correctly. Like, it was always all the options and products given that we're using now were all given as a result of some type of issue. They had an issue or a problem. Someone came up with an idea, and then it became mainstream. Hence 401k. I did a video on 401k for those unaware of it. 401k. It was a mistake, people. The video is actually called a 401k mistake. It's 45 years old. So 45 years ago, the 401k was introduced. And it's called 401k because of something about 401. It was something that, like, it was just fitting. It all played together. It sounded good. So now everyone's told to put in a 401k. But it's a 45-year experiment. And so right now, the baby boomers, they're the first line of recipients of that 401k concept. So they're getting a little something now. They're able to draw something now. But as we're going to find out real soon, it won't be for the rest of their lives, just because our monetary system, no one considered the fact that we will be 21 trillion in debt with 21 trillion missing, cutting taxes. As Rick Rule, for those who watched the video the other day, mentioned that cutting taxes only transfers, it puts a burden on the younger population and it helps the older population. And so that's not going to be something that a young person is going to be willing to do. We're not going to, because you're going to have to raise taxes eventually. And who's paying taxes? The younger people. So I would imagine the younger people are going to go underground. Or that's when the whole working for crypto going to become big, because your employer can't deduct taxes out your check if you're getting paid in crypto for whatever service you're providing. So there's going to be some issues with that down the line, because people are not going to allow themselves to get robbed blatantly to subsidize some promises that were already faulty in the first place that they can't live up to. So that's just me. But once again, there I go. I apologize. I think Mike Moore for crypto and bias against metals. Mike Moore for crypto and bias against metals. Oh, Patrick, no, man. Come on now. I hope you know me better than that. I mean, I can't, like I always say, I don't hate anything. I'm trying to, give me a second here. Well, I had some weight on my desk. I was going to show you some weight. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm about the weight, because I just mentioned a minute ago, weight. And so it goes to the 3 S's that I talked about a couple weeks ago, months ago. 3 S's. If you know the 3 S's, you can understand that I'm open for alternatives. I'm open for anything that's not necessarily this. I can't say I lost my interest in this, because it's still needed, but because that's one of the S's. So the 3 S's, for those that remember: spending, speculating, saving. To me, that's my viewpoint on how to utilize your economic energy. And I say economic energy because everyone gets up in the morning to go do something, or to do something, exchanging energy in return for some type of energy coming back our way. That's currency. It's a current going. We give something, we get something. Everyone's doing that these days. It's popular. And so when you get that, you got 3 things you're going to do. You're going to spend it, you're going to save it, or you're going to speculate with it. Speculating for most people now is considered investing in 401ks, and that you're speculating because you're hoping. And on the bottom of that statement, it comes home and says results may not be guaranteed, whatever. That's speculating. And it's going to be deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. So as these gambling, the same feeling people have in their stomach when you go to the casino and you shaking up dice, and you rolling like people have that same gut feeling of like, damn, I'm losing. It's going to be a mad panic. But that's speculating. Then you got savings. Here's my thing. If you're aware of monetary history and you see this, you see how this has treated you, you know what I'm saying? Like, can I get some, okay, let me ask, because most people may not believe me. But this is, okay, let me say this. I was trying to think about what to say. And so you know how the U.S. is always operating in our national interest, how we always say that, we are going here to defend our national interest. And I'm thinking, like, this instrument here is the greatest threat to your financial well-being. And it itself has cost your family generational wealth. Think about your grandparents, how easier they had it in comparison to the way you have it now. and how much you got to grind harder for yours. So this right here is a threat to your financial well-being. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, Mike. This is Jeff from Florida. How you doing tonight?
I'm good. Doing good. Jeff from Florida. How you doing, my friend? What's on your mind?
Good. Hey, I just wanted to jump in there real quick. You were talking about people were talking about investments in land. If you look up the term allodial title, you actually can buy a allodial title, and once you actually own a allodial title, you don't have to pay property taxes. Because what it is like you go and buy a piece of property or piece of land, but then you actually have to go and pay property taxes to the government, but it's like someone else owns that bond on that land. And think about it almost as if someone has a lien on your property. So if anyone is interested, you could Google allodial title and do some research, and you can find out more about it. But the reason why I'm calling you, Mike, is that I saw a couple of articles. I sent you links today. I don't know if you got a chance to look over them.
Yep.
But this one article I wanted to talk to you about, it says more than 500,000 people in America, homelessness crisis is rapidly exploding on both coasts. And so what's happening is that, we were talking about yesterday or last week, we were talking about how the housing, the rent is at an all-time high, and even people that are working 2-3 jobs can't afford to pay their bills. So that was an article in Zero Hedge that I ran across. I sent you the link.
Yeah.
It says over, what does it say? It says over 500,000 people are homeless right now, sleeping in their cars. And then there's another article, I don't know if you saw the link I sent you, and it says over half Americans who get welfare are receiving more welfare than what they pay out in taxes. So there's going to come a point down the line where the government's like, hey, we're paying so much money out, we can't cover all of our expenditures with the amount of taxes that they're receiving. Because we got more and more baby boomers that are retiring who aren't going to be working, paying into the system, and they're going to have more and more people who are drawing Social Security, disability, Medicare, Medicaid, and these unfunded liabilities. They're not going to be able to pay it. They're just going to come down the line where it's either going to be printed, and the money is going to lose its purchasing power. I think that's kind of like what we're looking at.
Yeah.
Anyways, I just wanted to throw my 2 cents in there. I'll let you go and get back to your show, okay?
I appreciate you, buddy. Thanks for the links. And yes, I do. I got one up right now, so appreciate it. Keep it coming, my friend. Appreciate that.
I sent you both the links. I appreciate it.
All right, my friend. Thank you. So, yeah, so Jeff hit it right there. So, once again, it's great to have people in the community that's well-versed and know their stuff. So, and that's the benefit of being able to call in and share your thoughts and share your knowledge and expertise. 'Cause everybody out here got an opinion or something that they can uniquely add to the community that can really educate people. And so one thing that Jeff said that really stuck in my mind is that, the baby boomers, as they're retiring now, so we got 74 million people that's entering into or starting their latter years. And so here's another thing with the retirement aspect. Because everyone, and as I mentioned earlier, the 401k concept was introduced 45 years ago. So that means that, we have the baby boomers who are 70, 65, whatever. Say they were 25. So in their early years, they're 25, they're 30. They between 25 and 35, for that generation, the baby boomer generation, they were introduced to the 401k. So that's when everything started jumping off. And at that time, they had pensions still. So people was able to get pensions. So between pensions, Social Security and savings, and if you got a 401k or vice versa, all of those investments usually are tied up in primarily 2 things that are primarily bonds and equities. And so if you think about it, you got 74 million people entering into retirement age, and in order to liquidate some of those, some of that portfolio, they got to sell off equity. They got to sell off stocks monthly, basically. You know what I'm saying? So if you got 74 million people looking to sell off portions of their portfolio, who's going to be buying that stuff? Anybody got any answers out there? Anybody want to raise it and say, will you be buying that stuff? Overvalued, PE ratio 27-1, which is well beyond bubble status. Will anybody viewing this be buying that? And of course, there'll be some things that'll be worth buying, but I'm still trying to wrap my head around these FANG stocks as I look into it more, where we have digital companies that are all based upon either entertainment or consumption. But entertainment and consumption, it doesn't really add much value to society. So I can't really say Amazon, you know, they changing the game, but I can't really say Amazon going to be worth, you know, was it $1,000, $1,500 a share or something like that for that? You know, like, yeah, I mean, Jeff Bezos going to be fine, but I don't know me personally if I'm going to be buying, you know, looking to get in none of that. You know what I'm saying? I'm more interested in other things that is more speculative, but, you know, I'll be willing to take that risk, just me personally. Okay, so that goes back to, let me say, the FANG stock is backed by government. Yeah, Tony, but it's backed by government, but then what will the government end up doing to back that up? Increasing the money supply. So anywhere it go, you might be holding on to something that can really skyrocket in nominal price, but if it's skyrocketed in price and value, on the other side of things, you know, if the cost of living skyrockets just as much, you know, wages won't make a difference. So those that are holding on those stocks, they might be better off. Okay, it'd be better than holding just currency by itself. So basically, the last thing you would want to hold is a fiat currency. You would rather probably put it in the stock market because it's at least going to go up in numbers, but for whatever that's worth. But this goes back to what started this all, and it's the whole risk to reward aspect. And so I really was thinking about that today on really trying to figure out ways to communicate and share different areas in which we expend energy, the risk and the reward aspect of it, to find out, to measure if it's worth it long term. And what I was going to get at in reference to the whole Federal Reserve note is that based upon this graph here, there's not much of a reward in this trend of going down, but the risks are extremely high. Does anybody out there agree with me? You know, and holding this instrument here on the long term, the reward is no longer as good as it used to be, unless you know how to maneuver it and how to redeem it for certain things that are undervalued now. But the risk when this thing goes sub-zero, it's going to be life-changing. And if you agree, any show of hands in the chat, give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, Mike. Tim calling again from Colorado.
Tim from Colorado. How you doing, buddy?
Good. I just got two questions today.
Yep.
One is, I'm pretty sure you're aware of the stock market in the fall today.
Yep.
And you have more experience probably with the technicals, and I don't have any. I just listen to some of the people. But do you think that this is it? I mean, do you think that this is just going to continue on down now?
No, this is not it, man. This is not it. This is just tremors. This is tremors before the shock. Tremors before the big kabang. So here's the thing. I believe the tremors we're experiencing now, these fluctuations, it's the big money, deep state, whatever you want to call them, people, basically causing these tremors to back with withdrawing funds, whatever, doing whatever they're doing to manipulate things to kind of shake stuff up, because we have a president for the very first time in the last 100 years is very vocal on it and displeased with a central bank that it was never mentioned prior to his presidency. So Obama, Bush, Clinton, and before my time, I'm sure they never was critical of the Federal Reserve. But this one time, and this one president is critical, we're starting to see tremors more and more and more, along with everything else. This seems to be right on time. And so I don't think the powers that be is really ready for things to come to an end. I think they're trying to prove a point to our president that he needs to shut his mouth, or they can pull the trigger. And it'll be pointed on him. Hence the fact of him saying the Fed, the Powell. He's throwing all this the Fed, Powell talk, warming up to the idea of who he's going to point the blame to if it was to go under, which would make it hard. Because if the president says one thing, it'll be hard to believe it's going to be some false flag country that does whatever they do. So, yeah, I think he's positioned himself to point the blame towards the true source, in my opinion.
Okay, that's a different opinion I would have thought I'd gotten. But I actually have two more questions.
All right.
One is the other one is because I'm in 401ks, and if I were to take it out right now, I've removed half, but it's a wicked tax penalty 1 and 2. I lose some other benefits that I'm currently using.
Yeah.
So if is it possible, do you know, to park your 401k in dollars? So in other words, your dollars are with your investment company, but they're sidelined. So you're not actually in the market. You're just holding dollars with them until you pay the taxes to get them out.
I don't know. What I would recommend, because you called in when Will Lear from Perpetual Assets in reference to extracting and putting it in metals or land. So I would advise you to get in contact with his people, because he perhaps can answer that better than I can, of course. But yet, I imagine that it would be possible, but you had to be a process to do it. So I wouldn't know. I would say reach out to Will, because they definitely would know how to take possession of some things, and that might be the best option, I believe.
That's a good recommendation. I'll let you know tomorrow night, because I'm going to call them tomorrow, and I think I've done this before with Fidelity.
Yeah.
Because they kept calling us and going, hey, man, your money's not earning you any money. Your money's not earning you any money.
Yeah.
But that's a good point. But I'll let you know tomorrow night.
All right, sounds good. Appreciate you. Yeah, go ahead.
You bet. My other question is, could you know of a way? We talked about Litecoin once, and I am interested, and I think that's a good way to get my feet wet. But did you know of a way I can get a hold of Litecoin without going through the Know Your Customer? In other words, buy it under the table or buy it directly from another person?
I personally, other than going online, there's some sites where you can go online and meet with people, but that comes with its own risk. So other than just searching around, I don't know directly, other than I know local Litecoin, I think it's locallitecoin.com. If it's still up and running, there's a place where you can go and you can arrange to meet somebody in your city or your town and trust that everything works out that way. But other than that, I don't know any other ways, my friend.
Okay, and I would just buy a wallet beforehand, right? So I'm ready to receive.
Yeah, you don't have to buy a wallet. There's some quality wallets that are free, and so I would recommend I would recommend a free wallet if you have a smartphone. If you go to your app store, if you type in wallet, cryptocurrency wallet, there'll be a couple wallets that rise to the top. The ones I'm familiar with is Jaxx, JAXX, is a quality wallet. And then that's something to get started. And if you want to go even more, it'd be better to get a cold wallet where you can get a Treasure or Nano or something like that. That's actually something you can hold in your hand and pull it from the internet type of thing. So that would be the best bet, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm thinking of going with a cold wallet only because I'm real careful about what kind of apps I load or create, and I don't trust my phone.
Right, so fair enough. So yeah,
I just don't. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great advice. What would happen? What do you think the probability is? I can talk my son into buying it, and I'll buy him a free one.
So a wallet or one of them cold wallets?
No. Actually, going through the process with the exchange to get the coin, and it'll be in his name, and then I'll just get them from him.
Well, I mean, yeah. As of now, it's being set up as typical banking. That's all it is. The whole KYC stuff is banking. Some people don't want to be in the system, but yet we are already in the system for something. So I mean, it's like, hey,
yeah,
at this point, it's about wealth preservation. So you're trying to find ways to preserve what you work hard for. So, to have your name in the system and attempt to preserve what you have, it could be worth it as opposed to losing it all, not being willing to dip and dabble if it's of interest. So that's just my opinion.
Yeah, no, that's a great input. Great input, Mike. Okay, again, thanks for everything you do, and continue on.
All right, my friend. Thanks. Have a good night. Interesting. Great call. Great call as always. Pat always calls with some good questions. So, yeah, what I was talking about risk and reward. And so the two things I want to touch on again, then I'll move on. Understanding risk and reward. And I'm going to try to get a better understanding of that so I can share that. But yet the risk and reward of this instrument here on the long run, according to what's here, right here, doesn't look too rewarding. This is purchasing power, and as you see, it doesn't purchase much. So just look at from a historical standpoint, looking back in time as to where it started, and look at where it's at currently, and then think about where it's going to go. I'm gonna leave it at that. Paper wallet, yep. So Low Broker says rethink the crypto. Says whenever Remember when Obama got caught running guns illegally to Mexico via Operation Fast and Furious? Wonder if the weapons catchers are waiting for caravans on their way. Have a very bad feeling. Ooh, that's a good one. Fast and Furious. I haven't heard that in a while. We'll see. We will see, because on the whole migration situation, it's unfortunate that these are, okay, the mainstream media is telling us, we have, thousands of people migrating towards the United States of America. They want to come here because of economic conditions, poverty, whatever. No doubt, that whole region. And what bothers me most is that whole region right now is being destabilized intentionally by, those people are being exploited. Their poverty, their corrupted governments, they're being exploited for the sake of political affairs in this country here. So I actually saw a video, I'm not sure where it was at, but people actually walking around handing money to people in the walk to help get them here. Because I'm thinking, like, think about this. No matter how bad things probably would be or could be for you, it'll be an individual move. It'll be one small group here and there making a move like that, traveling across several countries on foot, supposedly. Because the news, think about this, here's another thing to look at. According to what we're told and what we see thousands of people moving in the daytime in large crowds up the streets and bridges or whatever. But does that same large crowd flow that same way in the evenings? I would probably say no. Because here we have Hondurans in Guatemala trying to get in Guatemala. I heard about a Guatemalan caravan looking to get into Mexico now. So we got two countries all right there looking to move up towards Mexico. And all those areas they aren't really, they're close countries, but yet they're not really like, they don't really love each other and like each other like that. It's like, there's a lot of beef down there. It's a lot of crime. Honduras is very dangerous. Honduras is a very dangerous place, but yet there's certain sectors where it's not. But in general, like you got all those masked countries coming together trying to caravan up north. They're being funded by somebody, because who, for the sake of looking for a better life, would join into a flock of thousands of people in hopes of trying to get across a narrow bridge and then find something on the other end? Just for the sake of having better odds of getting employment and getting into the country, you would probably take your family, a small group of people, and sneak in and not be known, not be seen, as opposed to jumping into a thousand group and then being having the risk of sleeping in the streets or being robbed by your own people in that thousand. Because you got to remember, there's criminals, there's drug people all up in that little thousand. So all that right there smells funny, and it's been funded to distort things in the next month. So here's that window I gave earlier, that 60-day window. We're currently almost 40. We're with 15. We're about 40 more days left. And I mark my word, people, in the next 40 days, which is leading up to the midterms, leading up to December, we got this migration crisis. We got the stock market volatility. We have stuff happening outside this country. We got the interest rates for December, someone mentioned here. We got a lot of things going on here that spells trouble. So just, I'm not sure what to, how to put that, but anticipate something. Yeah, just my thoughts. I'll leave it at that. Says Honduras is the most country with homicides. Andrew. Yeah, Honduras is. I was there. I went there last year, and I went there last year, me and my wife, just like a little getaway for the weekend type of thing. And it was it was, okay, Guatemala's the same way. So Guatemala, Honduras is right there. So I went to both of them places within a couple months, whatever. And it's the only place I've been to. I've been to pretty much, all those countries for the most part, give or take. And it's the only country where, like Honduras, I'm talking about, where every retail store, listen to what I'm saying, every retail store has a man in front of the store with a shotgun sitting there waiting on something to jump off. So just that alone lets you know, like, how cutthroat, how dangerous it is when they got them at McDonald's, they got them at hotels, they got them. It's a person sitting there, a private security sitting there with a shotgun, just sitting there. So, yeah, so Honduras is not, it's not one of the places where, on top of that, every car has tinted windows. Same thing in Guatemala. Every car has tinted windows for security reasons, which means, because, getting rental cars there, the tents be so dark, and I'm not used to dark tents. So imagine driving at pitch black night with dark tents, not being familiar with it, trying to see, but yet, you're told you can't go in certain areas. So it's an experience, people. It's an experience. I would recommend anybody, if you have interest, if you're a traveler, like new experiences, you definitely will have a hell of an experience there. But right now, I'm not even sure about that right now. Anyway, I missed some more comments, man. I gotta stop ranting so much. I apologize. I just get carried away, man. What else we got here? What about No, I'm all behind. All right, so let me get caught up in the chat. Honduras says there are no crises that have not been created for a cause and solution effect to bring a new world order. Right, very true, Will. I believe that 100%. Spartacus moment. What says you guys here? Silver went quickly over 16. Low blood pressure. Silver went over $16. I did not know that. Just to get the bill passed. Says George Soros's son came out about the pipe bombs. Yeah, that whole pipe bomb situation was just looking at who was all involved as far as who was on the receiving end of that. It's spelled false flag. It's spelled like yeah. Because here's the thing, like, not to say nothing funny. Don't take this the wrong way, but of course, it's not a political, it's not a party like Republican, Democrat type of thing, but just based upon trends and history and my experiences, I've never known people who associate themselves as being conservative, the Bible Belt, Christian type people. Even though we got some people out there that are a little off the cuff, I've never known too many people that was resort to violence and something that really wouldn't benefit anybody, really. Like, just for fun, want to go off the cuff and just start doing dangerous, killing people. Like that it happens, but it doesn't happen as much as it happens on the other side of the table, where you have more people who are just like, they out there, they want to cause people and hurt as many people as they can, type of people. I'm gonna leave that alone because I can get touchy with that one. I can get touchy with that. I haven't been to LA, but in Honduras they don't care. They will hit your car before letting you. Yeah, I'm gonna leave that alone. Mess around and say something that I can't pull back. Oh, man. Caller. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, this is Craig out of Beaumont.
Craig out of Beaumont. How you doing, buddy?
Doing pretty good, man. I ain't called you in a while.
What's on your mind this evening? Appreciate the call.
Well, I've been, everybody's been getting in the hype and the hysteria in the media.
Mm-hmm.
And I basically just call and give a shout out and just let everybody know that despite what's going on in the media right now,
mm-hmm.
they still need to stick with the bread and butter.
Yeah.
And what I mean the bread and butter is that you can't really get caught up into what they're saying, because basically it's all that's part of like a propaganda, sort of like agenda thing.
Mm-hmm.
And the things that really do count is what you initially started out is with your retirement, Social Security, stuff like that. When you start getting up in age.
Mm-hmm.
And things that's going to really sustain you. Because really and truthfully, even though you're no longer part of the working economy,
mm-hmm.
you're still part of the economy. I mean, that is a sector of the economy.
Yeah, definitely.
And people really need to look at that, and they have to really call that as a foundation or a stable base.
Mm-hmm.
And
which
kind of brings me up to the point of cryptos, as far as like Bitcoin versus Litecoin,
mm-hmm.
and then they're trying to take a look at Bitcoin, and they're trying to make Bitcoin mirror like it was gold versus silver.
Yeah.
And here's a bit of history that I can bring to the table on that.
Okay.
During the Great Depression, hold on, Mom. During the Great Depression, economy did collapse, there were several transactions, that took place, mainly between Mexico and Texas.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that's one of the things, and it's not documented because it passed down from generation. But what happened is that the people in Texas and in Mexico, when they wanted to purchase land, when it became a fire sale event,
Mm-hmm.
what they did is that when it came to land, they used their gold. The gold purchased the land,
Mm-hmm.
and silver purchased their condiments, or the basic needs,
yeah.
to fluff everything up.
Yeah. Interesting.
So, yeah, and people need to, a lot of things that you need to know is not going to be written in textbooks.
Yeah.
And you ain't going to find that out in college. You have to really just talk to some of these old people who are still around.
Yeah.
Because you just have to.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that I noticed that our society is trying to do. They're trying to push our elderly out.
Mm-hmm.
And when you push the elderly out, you also push out that bit of knowledge.
Right. And
history.
And that's intentional, because the goal would be to not have any linkage to what things used to be like, so that the future generations can be dumbed down and not know their history, not know their rights, not know anything that resembles freedom. The young generation will automatically think that being surveillanced is natural, is normal. It's normal not to have privacy. Who needs privacy will be the catch. So these young kids will go for it. So what better way to remove that from their mind other than shun out the people who know what it's like to have gone through history and see how things have decayed as far as what we call a sound country right now. So, but I do value the mentorship, and I think in the latter days, as things begin to unfold, I think there will be a place for the older generation, because that's where our wisdom is. That's where we're going to get most of our courage, because you guys have experience that I don't have. Like you've been through things that I have never been through, so you can be a tool of a resource of education and knowledge for me as a mentor to get me through things. So that's going to be a value itself. So I think the baby boomers will be very useful for education's sake down the line if need be. So yeah, but I appreciate you calling in and sharing that.
Absolutely. When you talk about that brings me back to when I was in high school in Beaumont at Westbrook High.
Mm-hmm.
They'd have Black History Month.
Mm-hmm.
And that was my favorite month in studies, man. I got A's that year. The A's that part of the year. I made it in borderline and fail in everything else. But man, that right there, that semester, I was hit. I was on hit.
Yeah, buddy. Well, hey, man.
The thing,
yeah.
What the thing about it is what I was saying, is that during that time,
mm-hmm.
and that was I was going in the latter part of the 80s. We still had surviving World War II veterans.
Mm-hmm.
And then we also still had surviving World War II Holocaust survivors.
Mm-hmm.
That people was able to come over to the country. And
yeah.
the history and the think tank and the wealth on how things were when they were there, versus seeing it in a history book, and then you actually seeing this actual individual sitting right there, standing before you,
yeah.
and telling you what they went through. It's phenomenal, dude. I mean, it was all get out phenomenal. And
yeah.
man, it was like it really sets you on fire.
Yeah. Well, hey, man. But I appreciate you. I appreciate you sharing that knowledge, my friend. I want to keep moving. We got to get some other calls in here. But thank you once again for calling in. I appreciate that.
All right.
All right. Have a good one. Yeah, man. It's great. Great to get some different calls and experiences. Gentlemen, people in the chat, be nice people. Be nice people. The goal is to give everybody a voice, so everybody has something unique they want to share. I'm respectful of letting people share what's on their mind. That's the goal, because everybody adds a little bit of wisdom and knowledge to the chat room. So, all right. So yeah. So good point, Tone. We are at an hour. So Tone was on point with that one. So as always, people, it's been fun. And one thing I noticed, having a couple people online, if you guys have enjoyed the back and forth, you've enjoyed the commentary and the thoughts and opinions shared, don't be afraid to give your boy a thumbs up. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't be mad at you if you did that. And so I had a call, I would have taken it, but they hung up on me. So as always, people, smash the like button real quick. Give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed this nice chat. And other than that, you know, I'll see you guys tomorrow night, same time, same place. I got a little interview coming for you guys tomorrow. Should be informative. It's another option, alternative for people to consider. And other than that, as always, I got the links down below. Any of the things we talked about as far as some of the links to get involved in cryptos, whatever it might be. Oh, Spirit King, good point. Yes. All right. So, yeah, have a couple comments on the Litecoin giveaway. And so if you enter into the Litecoin giveaway tomorrow night at 9:30 when I get online, we're going to go through the normal formalities of, you know, introduction, welcome, and all stuff like that. And then we're going to get into to announcing the winner. So the goal would be to have the winner online. And so if you've entered into the crypto, it's totally free, nothing, no strings, nothing to it. In order to actually win, you have to have the most points. And so a part of that is that by entering your email address, you get a unique link to then share on your part. And according to the activity on your end, you get points. So you're able to track how many points you have. So there's actually a tally of all the points from all the people participating. So far as, you know, a couple hundred people participating. And so you can look on there and see who has the most points. So you kind of got an idea as to whether or not you're capable of winning based upon your points. So if you've been active in helping, you know, spread the message and awareness of adoption through RTD, your point game should be strong. If your point game is strong, you win. And then I'll shoot you an email, get your link, and I'll shoot you some Litecoin. You know what I'm saying? That's simple, sweet and simple. But other than that, that's how it goes. So tomorrow night there'll be a winner. So we got 24 hours, people. For those that want to get involved, just get people Eastern Standard or Eastern Daylight Time. So 9:30 on my time here. It's 10:41 p.m. right now in Detroit. So tomorrow night, 9:30 Eastern Daylight Time, or whatever it's called, we here, and we're going to announce a winner and go from there. So you got 24 hours to get your game on, you know what I'm saying, if you want to get involved like that. So, you know, just find a ways to get more people involved and to basically, you know, share the message of RTD and to get more people into the community so we can grow this chat. So anyway, that's it for tonight, people. Be safe. And as always, above me, got some links there. If you want to support me on Patreon, I could use your support, as well as Bitcoin. If anyone out there feeling generous tonight want to donate, your boy will be more than happy to receive that. Other than that, be good. See you tomorrow night. Be safe.